welcome to episode number 27. We've got a very special guest in the house, Mr. Chet O'Connell, all
Welcome.
the way from the North Shore. Nick Granville in Wellington, myself here in West Auckland. Lovely to have you on the show, Chet.
Great to be here, lads.
Yeah.
It's been I'm a keen watcher, obviously. So finally getting, and I probably haven't been in the same room as you for probably a long time.
It's been a while.
Which is crazy because I can drive here in about 35 minutes.
Oh well.
Oh man, and you probably don't even remember the one time we were in the same room, which was Shane Cortez's wedding.
That's right. I do remember. That's
Because
right.
I was playing there with Grant Sullivan.
Holy
that was when I
moly!
met you for the first.
That's going back 2007
How long
or
ago was
something.
that?
Probably. That's crazy,
Something
man.
like that.
Listen, we were young with
time
teeth.
And here.
And yeah, that's right.
You've been busy, I reckon.
Yeah, I was had a recording the last 2 days with this sort of pop, light, easy listening type singer named Will Martin in
I know
New
Will.
Zealand Symphony Orchestra. Yeah, but actually we talked about you because he was talking to me about doing this gig. He said, I've got this idea. I really want to do like a Simon and Garfunkel thing. And he goes, but I need someone who sings as well. And I'm like, I can sing a little bit, but not really. I said, you need to call Chet. And so he's going to give you a call.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
I told him that you sing as well as play.
Yeah.
So, and he said he'd seen you at a Lady Killers gig recently.
Yeah. Caught up with him at an awards night, and I hadn't seen Will for.
No, it was really good actually. It was a good fun gig. It was kind of odd tunes in some ways. I mean, we did "Why Does Love Got Do This to Me?" You know that tune?
Yeah.
With like no drummer.
Oh wow!
So percussion, guitar, piano, string quartet, 3 horns, flute, oboe, those sorts of things. You know what I mean? And so it was kind of
Different.
playing that song, light version of it. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was fun though. Yeah, so that's been that, and then I played with the Roger Fox Big Band in the weekend, which is something I haven't done for 5 years.
Wow.
Which is it was a bit of a blast doing a Christmas show with those guys, and kind of all the things that used to drive me nuts about the band are still the same.
It's always kind of
But no, it's
comforting,
fun.
right?
Totally, and Bella was the main kind of singer on the night, and I've known her since forever, so that was awesome. And a local girl named Amy Hunt, who's really good as well, and Erna Ferry, who's Roger's partner, was singing. So yeah, it was pretty awesome. It was good
Great,
fun.
man. Busy few weeks, man.
Yeah, it has been. Yeah, it's been a funny old year, but the last couple of weeks it's like finally picked up, and then I've got gigs every day this week, so it's like go
It's always
figure.
nice.
I'm like that this week.
Yeah.
This week is my crazy busy week. I'm exactly the same, man. Like it's sessions Monday, work last night, had rehearsal on this tonight, and I'm working the rest of the week. It's everything. It's just the one crazy, and then the rest of the month is kind of just. Yeah, it's okay, but yeah, this week is nuts.
Yeah, we were talking about it earlier. We're off to the US in January. So I was like, all right, that means no money earned in January for me.
we
Because
did
we're
that.
away the whole month, and nobody does anything in the first week of January.
No.
So that's why I'm quite happy to be making hay while the sun shines, so to speak, you know.
Yeah, well, we had 3.5 weeks up in the States in July with the family, and
Yeah, I saw.
and that was amazing, man. But that was the same. You still come home and then realise that you've got a month and haven't earned any money. You know, it's like it's sort of catch. So then, as I say, I'm quite happy to be in catch-up mode.
Totally. Awesome, man. Oh, that sounds great.
And the
and Warren the rock star,
I know.
eh?
I was just going to say, Mr. International.
Yeah,
I know. Nuno Benincourt.
I've
Holy
been
heck.
lying low all year, so this was like a little bit of a nice little detour. So it was just the one gig. It was supposed to be 2, and then one didn't. It got postponed or something, so we didn't end up doing that. So this was a festival in Bangalore. So we, the singer's in London. I'm in Auckland. 2 band members in Bombay. So we flew in, practiced 2 days, flew into Bangalore, did the gig. And the cool thing is the guy who organized the festival, he used to be a big fan of the band when we had just started out. So I think he was kind of, wanting to, get us to meet them and stuff like that. And he actually, we went there when Extreme was sound checking. That was awesome to watch as well, So just see how they, and the stage was huge, but they set up quite close together so they can hear each other acoustically, So that was nice. So we're like, right, we're just going to do the same thing. We don't need to move anything around. And Nuno had these 6, Marshall cabs.
Wow, man, that's awesome.
Out of which one was on.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there was one Marshall, one cab, and he had his little Boss GT6 or GT8 or whatever.
Wow.
And that was it. You could tell the gear was minimal, but the tones here, And
He's
he had a
ridiculous, isn't he? I mean, his rhythm
Ridiculous.
guitar playing just...
Oh, it's crazy,
Man,
man.
like he doesn't have like, you know how we have a practice mode and then we have a gig mode. He
Yeah,
just
yeah.
had gig mode.
One
from,
mode, yeah.
from start to finish. There was like not like one note that he missed, and like every, not a single flub or whatever. It
Wow,
was just
man.
like, I mean, how do you do that? And then I think
His technique is phenomenal, though. eh?
ridiculously
It's like-
good, yeah. And then during the gig, I saw the gig from side of stage, so that was a nice vantage point from the guitar decks world or whatever. So you could see like the hand signals and that sort of stuff. But yeah, pretty seamless the show was, and they came and they watched us play. That was pretty awesome as well. And then they said, "Oh, we really liked your set."
That's
and,
awesome, man.
I mean, at this point, you don't even expect those things.
No, that's right.
And when it happens, it's nice. So
And did all your fans come out to see you?
Well, apparently when we played, there were like 10 to 12,000 already there, and then it must have swelled to a bit more when
cool.
when Extreme came on. I think we got a really good time because
Man,
as
that's
the
awesome.
sun set, we were the first band to get the full lights and everything.
Yeah.
So in fact, the lighting is something you don't think about. But looking back at all the pictures, the guy who did our lighting was awesome, and he knew all the songs.
Cool.
That's another
Yeah,
big
yeah,
thing
yeah.
as well. When everything's in sync with the music. Otherwise, some random guy comes and
Yes, they
does
are.
some shit, and it looks like he's having a party with the lights, that sort of thing. But yeah, lighting is pretty huge. But all in all, I'm pretty surprised how well we pulled it off with very little practice. That was like a fingers crossed kind
cool.
of thing. No
That's
no
awesome,
train wrecks or anything like that. So yeah, it was good. And now we've got to go back for another 5 or 6 club gigs, which is not as stadium, but I kind of like those as well.
Yeah.
When will you be back there? When is that?
On the 12th to the 24th, we've got 5 gigs across the country.
In January?
Nah, in December, so like now.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, like
next week.
really soon. Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Holy heck.
Yeah.
Oh man, well we timed this perfect to have Chet over
We
there,
did,
didn't
crazy,
we?
yeah,
Kind
yeah.
of the right window.
Man.
So what's been happening for you, Chet? What's been on the card?
A lot of just sort of gigging really. Nothing majorly exciting. Just still doing the odd thing with Midge, which is good. Still Lady Killer stuff. I was just rehearsing with Jackie before I came here actually for a thing tomorrow night. So this time you just got some corporate gigs on and a few club gigs, and still I work with Melissa a lot and working with the band. And we did a gig last night with Johnny Scott and Neil Hannon, the guys I've worked with forever now, man. And sort of rock and roll club gig, which was good, which is what I love, just in a hall, just all pushing everything from the stage. It's just like the magic of how I love to play, man.
Do you have like any residencies or anything like that, or
Not anymore, man. We've got just things that pop up like monthly. Like we do one. We work at the fish market, Auckland Fish Market's big outdoor restaurant area. Melissa and I do that once a month, which is a really cool, funky acoustic gig, which is cool. And then we've got a couple of club things we do with the band, but nothing set in stone. Sort of residency wise. I like the. I would love that to have the consistency of it, but I also love being available for whenever all the other stuff comes in.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
And
it
it's
just seems that people don't have residencies anymore, doesn't it? It's sort of
Man. It used to be.
but-
You could go and pick up a regular Thursday night and you do for a year, or I had a Sunday gig down in the Viaduct. I did with Mel McCallum. We did that for 10 years on Sundays, and ran from 2001 through to 2011. And I mean that now thinking of that sort of thing seems insane because it's just
totally.
they're kind of not there. You can't, as I say, there's some people. Dixon's got that casino thing that he does pretty regular, which is cool. And I've got some friends in a covers band. They got a regular gig, but it's just not. It's kind of not the done thing anymore,
Yeah, same here. Same in Wellington for sure. Seems to be that, if you do get a regular gig, it's once a month. Like
Yeah,
what
that's
you
the thing.
talk about at the fish market type thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes what happens is they'll have one person booking you and they'll book regularly, and then the person who gets booking changes.
That's the
and
classic.
then there's no more gigs after that. It's happened a few times, yeah.
I've had that happen too.
Yeah,
People move on, and you sort of, you flick some emails off and get no reply, and then you've got to start chasing down that rabbit hole to see, and it's like, oh no, they're not here anymore, and then it's someone new, it's like,
Yeah.
And congrats on your new record, Chet. I really
thanks,
enjoyed
man.
it. I've listened to it a few times now, and it's great, man. There's some really tasty guitar tones in there, and nice. I really enjoyed the balance of like some programming and some live instruments, and the song craft that you'd clearly
Thanks,
taken
man.
with it.
yeah, I like that.
That's great.
That's been the, those are the comments that always mean the most, because that's what it's about to me, man. It's about the trying to write good songs and play good melodies. You know, it's like without showboating, just trying to, just as you say, create a good product that sounds musical and that still moves in amongst it, and there's enough going on to make the passages stand out. But
believe me, those songs got stuck in my head.
Oh, that's cool, man. Great. Yeah, I enjoyed doing that. You know, that was a good thing that I finally, end of last year, got a whole bunch of stuff recorded that I've just been sitting on. There were some new tunes, one old tune on, and then a whole bunch of new things I wrote over COVID. So, and I mean, I want to try and just keep doing more now, because it's like, it's what I love, man. As we all do, you know, like writing and recording, and the beauty is, and I was lucky to. I played drums on the stuff that had drums on it, and then so I was programming on a couple as well, and just sending files to mates for bass and keys and all that sort of thing. It's just such a great way to do it. And then went into studio to record all the main parts, mainly so I was only thinking about that.
Yeah.
You know, I otherwise I get too much stuff going on, man. I still like to go into a studio where I can turn an amp up and I'm not thinking about hitting the space bar or anything. and having someone else listening as well, which is always good, you know.
You play better, don't you?
Oh, right? I do.
Instead of like, I mean, I do a heap of sessions in my studio here, but I still find when I go into the studio, I play better. I had a session last month was it a month or 3 weeks ago or something? And I went into a studio in town. They had a Marshall JCM 800, or 900, sorry. And I was like, can we just dime it? So we just was like, turn it up through a 4x12. And he's like, yeah, we're a studio. We can do whatever we want. Yeah. And so I remember playing a chord and just going, this is great. Now, there's no way I could do that in this space. You know what I mean? Yeah. But also, too, I didn't have to worry about anything. Like you said, no hitting the space bar and then thinking about it. It's just play.
Yeah. And I find
you get a better result.
The vocal EP that I did, I had a song on there, and I was trying to work out a good solo, you know, and I was messing around at home. And I messed around for almost a day, and I got to the end of it, and I'd worked out, I'd kind of written the solo, and I went, this builds, it's quite good. And I called Melissa and I went, I'll just have a listen to this, and I played it, and it was about 3 bars into the solo. And I looked up at her and she went, has it started? So I scrapped it, and once again, and I thought to myself, I went, man, I just need to treat it like a session. So I just went into a friend's studio, second pass, nailed a whole solo, because I had the time at home, I was thinking way too much about it. Mm-hmm. As they went in, cranked it up, warmed up, he played it down, boom, a couple of times through, had exactly what I wanted, because I was more in the mood and the feel of it, by the fact of probably the environment I was in as well, you know.
It's funny how our partners can put us in our place, can't they? Better than anyone else. I'm sure Warren knows what I'm talking about too. And you've got children that do that as well now.
Oh yeah, man. I've got my. I was showing Chelsea actually a couple of pedals the other day. I was just goofing off at my pedals, going, "Now, Chelsea, look at these." My eldest, she's 14, showing them, and I didn't realise behind my back, she was over my shoulder. She was giving the signal, which is the sign language signal, to Melissa for help. And I'm like,
oh, that's so good.
You know, delving into, you know, what sort of drive this is, you know, and it's like, she's going, help.
Yeah, they can punk your account, and they're pretty quick. Yeah, my daughter's like that. She's 15 now, and it's like,
oh wow, crazy, eh? Far out. Good times, man.
No, that's funny.
Hey, you've been doing great. I was saying to Warren when I got here, your daily things have been great, man.
Oh, thanks, dude.
So good. Yeah. I just love that
I'm always amazed when anyone watches.
I watch them. I love them, man. They're so good. Oh, and my whole thing is, I love it that you're banging them out every day. Just that mindset of finding something to talk about that's interesting, and just getting it done.
I made a bit of an interesting one the other day. I did a bit of an experiment and did something different. I talked about the Trump guitars, right? Because you know, let's talk guitars. What I talk about, and I was like, I was hesitant about it because I thought, I know what's going to happen. This is going to get political, and sure enough, one guy kind of went there, and I sort of tried to ease it over, and I got a message from him today saying, I see that you've liked everyone else's comment except for mine. Unsubscribe. And I was like, okay, whatever. Like, you know, so it's quite funny. Like, I've been saving them up, all the kind of, you know, the YouTube. Yeah, I call them shit talkers on YouTube, and I have a folder on Gmail that I've saved it for, and it's yeah, but it's been fun doing it. You know, it's like I've learnt lots about it. So when it's you know, because I'm hearing myself every day in a different kind of way. And not only that, like how I speak.
Yeah.
You know, like I'll stumble on words and then I'll watch back when I'm editing it and I go, oh, come on, Nick, like,
Right.
get your point across, you know what I mean? And it's been good for my playing too. And so, yeah, it's been fun to do.
It's great, man.
And now you can add video
Thanks.
editor to your repertoire as well, you know?
Yeah.
That's right.
Well, I actually used to do a bit of that stuff, but for music stuff with people, the Beat Girls, I used to do a lot of their video edits and stuff. And then for Roger Fox's band, I did and stuff. Only music stuff, but I find video editing kind of like writing charts where I just don't do it anymore too much because I want to play. Right? I don't want to be sitting in front of a computer. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I do them all on my phone. All those YouTube things are just done on my phone. And here.
Yeah.
And I've got the setup and I plug an interface in and then I'm ready to go with all my lighting. And so it's got to be quick or else I know I'm just not going to do it. So.
That's, the funny thing is, like, when you're young, you think, right, I'm going to be a professional guitar player. I'm going to play guitar all day long, and I'm going to have a blast. And then you realize, no, you have to be a manager, you have to be an accountant, you have to be a lawyer, you have to be a video editor, audio engineer. You know, it's like wearing many, many different hats.
It is, and today more than ever, man.
man.
It's like, you know, the social media stuff that you've got to do and try and keep on top of for everything. It's a whole. There's so much to take you away from actually playing
guitar, yeah.
You know,
You're really good with that though, Chet. Too. I got to say, the way you do it is the way I've seen your stuff is it's not. You have a very humble kind of way of doing it. It's not gloating. It's like, here's where we're playing.
Yeah.
Come and see it if you want to. And but you're really good at keeping people informed. And that's how I knew about the hall. Playing in the hall the other day was because I saw your post and went, oh, that's cool. It's great.
Yeah, it is, and it's hard. As I say, that's my whole thing. It's like it's really just keeping a face there and letting people know what's on, as opposed to the hard sell. And then if there's something that comes along that's that's interesting, people see that as well and love it. You know, that's the thing. Whereas the younger ones, that's how they roll. They know all about it, and that's where they're naturally consuming everything. But I was flicking through a Saturday and a Sunday Herald, to catch up on what was happening with music in the world.
I think it's also like people see like, you're working. So this guy's working all the time. He must be good. So, gets you,
there's a bit of that.
As well.
There's I do that. Like I didn't on Monday, but if I'm doing a session or something, I normally post something. It just reminds other people that you're there, and that's what you do.
Totally.
So there's a lot of that as well, and it's just keeping your face there that you're available for things, and you got a lot of tools in your toolkit as well,
And tell us about that beautiful, because we nerd out on gear as well, but tell us about that beautiful Strat you have in your hands there.
Yeah, man, this is I've had this 34 years.
Which year is it?
It's 1990.
Oh, it's a 90s model.
It's a 62 reissue.
Oh, it's a 62 reissue.
62 reissue, got it in 90. So back then, I was saying to Warren, this Fiesta Red was a custom order back then. It wasn't on the colour chart. So it was sprayed over a black one, which is what they did. Back then, they'd just grab the first guitar and spray it if you were wanting like this or a blue or something that wasn't on the colour chart at the time. So it's black underneath and all the chips and stuff. But it's cool because it's different,
Where do you buy it from?
Yeah, totally.
I got this. I was still living in Whangarei. I got this at Ward's Music Shop, and it cost. I think it was just over $2,100 in 1990. So,
ouch.
Which
probably at the time was a lot of money.
That was a lot of coin, But as you say, man, it's apart from volume pots, switches, and like bridge saddles, and then machine heads and frets, obviously. I mean, there's still the original pickups in it. Real nice.
So you mean apart
pickups.
from everything, you just listed everything except for the wood and the
apart
neck.
from all the moving bits, But the wood and the neck is it's a definite working guitar. Original pickups, I've never swapped anything out on it. I always loved it, and it's mellowed out with time. Because if you take the scratch plate off, it's the colour's changed. It's really orange now. It was really Fiesta reddish more ready when I got it. But I've never gone anywhere without it. It's that one guitar I've played for 34 years.
I think you've got 10s or 11s on it.
I got 10s on it. I had 11s for a long, long time.
Yeah.
The longest time I played with 11s.
When I first met you, you had 11s in standard. I was like, geez, this guy's strong.
Yeah, I played with 11s for, probably nearly 20 years. Yeah. And then
Me too.
Until
recently.
Yeah, until recently I went back to 10s. I sort of...
Same.
Maybe I was getting old, I don't know.
Yeah, same. I've been 11s for the longest time, standard pitch.
Yep.
And then I was doing We Will Rock You
Right.
a couple of months ago, and I started getting pain in my arm
Right.
and hand, which I've never had before.
Yeah.
And it was partly because I was having to sit in the pit like this.
Oh, right.
Because there was another person right here, and I was like that and trying to do all those this
Yeah.
all night, you know, and I started getting pain, so I'm just 10s
Yeah.
through and through now. And I played one of my guitars that has 11s on it this morning, and I was like, gee. And to think it used to feel like nothing.
Yeah,
you
I was the same. I mean, I think I ended up chucking 10s. I got like a Gibson Chet Atkins Tennessee, and I think I put some 10s on that, and then it was just like this transgression from that one. Then I thought, oh, maybe I'll chuck 10s on my Gretsch. I might just do that, and then it basically came down to just running everything across the board, the 10s, and it seriously took me a day to get used to it, you know.
Yeah.
But I love it because for doing like, you know, like doing full tone bends on the G string and that. I think back to 11s now and I go, holy moly, I was working way too hard,
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
you know.
Especially around here, this area, you
Yeah.
try to bend, it's a little stiff.
Yeah.
Yeah. I still like
that
11s.
Stevie Ray
in,
Vaughan thing, eh? Right.
In E flat, I think it's
Oh,
fine.
absolutely, yeah. And if I was playing, you know, because when I was young, when I grew up, I played a lot of Shadows and Ventures stuff and all that. If I was going out doing a full guitar show of that sort of thing, I'd probably go back to 11s just because there's a little bit more meat on the on the top strings. But for a general everything all round purpose, now that I'm back at 10s, which is what I started with when I was young, you know, so I've just sort of gone full circle.
It seems to be a happy medium, I think, you know, between like very slinky strings and very thick strings. Like tens are, you know, right in the middle. Do you use the trem much on that?
I've got it. So I've got it screwed down so the trem will only go down.
Oh, okay.
It won't float. I had it like that for it'd be 30 years now. Just because it was an everything guitar, so it played in tune when I wanted to do country bends and stuff or whatever. And I've got a way of I can hit a note and vibrato with my left hand and use a tremolo arm down, and it sort of gets that same floating effect.
Yeah, the problem with the floating trem is like the moment you go to a bend, like what I have to do is like almost rest my palm on the trem, so it compensates the thing from pulling out. Yeah.
That's what I found when I was doing a
thought
lot.
of doing that. So you use your palm of your hand on the bridge to stop the bridge moving.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm going to have to practice that. Now I'm stealing all your licks already, Warren. Come on, Chet, show me something I can steal from you.
So all
there
those
we
sorts
go.
of bends,
That's
I
the
was
one.
like, it was just, I like it that it's, I mean, I love it floating, but it's for general, as I say, for an all round everything, you know, it stays in tune beautifully. And this is, as I say, this is like the, you know, real small neck, 7.25 radius, vintage frets, so real skinny, tall frets, you know. There's some pretty big, it needs work at the moment, but I always run
remember
them.
those 62 reissues being really good, though. John, did you ever know John O'Connell? He used to have one, and John was my guitar teacher when I went through music school, and he had a 62 reissue. I think his might have been in red. No, his was Sunburst. But it was still one of the best Strats I've ever played, you know, and people kind of had a thing about those reissues that I think there was a period and his would have been in the 90s.
Yeah.
Come to think of it. Yeah. Funny. Do you ever have any problems with noise with the Strat? Or
Not
how do
really,
you
man.
do-
Like, you know what? Won't get noise in here because this is the master shrine. But
He wired the house
you know,
himself.
there's some of those old, a lot of the theatres in New Zealand. You know those old theatres, man, the opera houses and that. You get noise in those places, and you just can't do much about it. And the quietest
Tell
place.
you every single one.
Yeah. And so, but I've always on my big board, I've always used a volume pedal, and purely for being able to get rid of unwanted noise. And I clocked onto that early, and even when I'm recording, I've always got my foot on and off a volume pedal. So, you know, I don't have that thing where I'm going to play something and I have to turn up and have that little bit of buzz before I do it, because I'll just wind myself in. So even on a stage where there is that horrible buzz that you get, I've found ways to work around it. Yeah. But all in all, it's, man, considering, you know, the age and that now of it, these pickups, I mean, they're all, you know, they're covered in rust and sweat and crap, you know, but it's still reasonably quiet considering I've heard other guitars and passive basses and that I've got equally as much.
And what about the pedal board that you've got?
This is just my little grab and go board.
Okay.
So this is like a little. I've just got a Nobles ODR on there.
Is it an original one or a reissue?
A reissue.
It's the little mini one. We'll put up.
And the reissues have a bass cut too, don't they? So they.
This one doesn't. This one came out. So this one doesn't have the bass cut, but I like it for a It's like just that little crunch. I use it for a just off clean, so I can play. It'll still track as clean.
Maybe just bypass it for a sec so we know what it's doing. Yeah. There we go.
What amp are you running through at the moment? Are you running through one of Warren's or
Through the Bella.
Bella.
That's the most
that's
friendly
great.
of the lot.
So that's just clean, and then
it thickens up the mids as well. You just push.
so if
it
I'm
to
just
the-
playing
totally.
gently.
It's my favourite tone, that edge of breakup thing,
Yeah.
you know, where you hit it hard and it
And
breaks
dig
up.
in and it,
It's
you know.
clean otherwise.
And then I got a light speed on here as well.
Oh yeah.
Greer light speed, which is just a little bit more crunch, really.
Yeah, slightly glassier as well.
Yeah, they got that.
Yeah. It's more like the high mids come forward. That Nobles is more like a slight. The mids are slightly lower. In frequency, yeah.
But they work good together too.
Yeah.
And then an
So what's
old
interesting about the light speed, isn't it? It's kind of a transparent drive, isn't it? But when you're stacking them with the two of them there, they're kind of complementing each other.
yeah,
aren't they?
yeah, it's got that. It's got a nice transparent, nice bump in the right place. And I run that frequency at about just between the 10 and 11 o'clock.
Great.
But so I like, and then I've got an old MXR Distortion 3, which is the old classic, Which is like I love these old things, man. It's like a cheap pedal, cheap MXR pedal, and it just kind of sounds good with everything.
Yeah, it doesn't have like too much of its own sound that it imposes on. It's like
Yeah, and I'm not a big saturation guy. I'll always stack as opposed to having one lead sound.
Yeah.
So if I want to brighten that, I make it jump out a bit. I can hit it with the light speed. So it's the little pushes of small increments is kind of what I and because I play so much different styles, I end up, even with 3 drives on this little board, I can cover a lot of ground.
Are you pretty much a clean amp guy, or do you like run your amps dirty as well sometimes?
If I can get it to, like, I play through a deluxe reverb most of the time,
Right.
And I mean, if I'm somewhere where I can run it on like 5, is perfect, because it's just going to break up when you belt it,
Yeah.
And then use the pedals to push it over,
push it over, But yeah, I grew up being a clean amp guy, and just basically always being able to get those slight broken up sounds from pedals, just and through that thing of not being able to, mostly having amps that were higher powered and never been able to crank them up.
Right.
I played a Blackface Twin for a long time, and then a Tweed, Blues Deluxe for a long time. So 40 watt and 65 watt amps and stuff. So you were never cranking them to where they were really working.
Yeah.
So I always liked having pedals that could give me that same assimilation of an amp I just use it as an always on pedal, like the RC booster I used for a long time, and I had that little the EP booster for a long time, which was fatten up, and you could push anything. It could push a bit, and then because I used a volume pedal, there were times I could crank an amp, keep the volume pedal off, which sounds counterintuitive, but even though you're not pushing the whole amp, having that volume stage up still makes a difference to how it's working.
Yeah.
Still just fattens you up a little bit,
Yeah, true.
Totally.
And on here I've got an old TR2 tremolo, and then
Those are some of the best tremolos, I reckon. The old Boss
man.
TR2s are great.
they're easy and they're bulletproof, And I've
This
got
works, doesn't it? Yeah.
I've got an old Vox time machine, which was a Joe Satriani pedal that he put out.
I had one of those some
the
years
green
ago.
one.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, and I love it, man. Tap tempo.
It's good.
I can do, I can move enough of it on the fly if I need to, and it's it's everything I need, for like a small. I use this. Most of my gigs now I just take this unless I need my big board, which has got a whole lot of other.
Funny how that happens, isn't it?
Yeah, it's got more drives and more and chorus and phaser and more modulation stuff on, and I've got 2 delays on the other one, so I can have a dedicated slap plus a tap and all those sorts of things. But I just love the simplicity of something small and having to make it work.
Yeah.
But isn't it funny, the small board soon becomes the main board, doesn't it?
It is.
Because you start going,
That's exactly
Same with
it.
when with my 2 amps, I've got the Victoria Bassman and then I've got the Victoria Deluxe. The Bassman a lot of the time sits there, and the Deluxe is the one because it's smaller and lighter and more portable.
Yeah, man. It's I'm exactly the same. It's like my big one. I mean, the big one in the road case. It's heavy, and I love it when I take it out because you got all those other flavors, right? And it's so good. But for everything, most of the time I actually need, this thing's just great, and it's simple. It's small. You carry it in, and you're away. And I can fly with it and just take it on as carry on, which is the great thing about it. Or I can take it out of its case and chuck it in a suitcase. So all those things become, one less thing to carry around, man.
Yeah. What are you powering with?
Totally,
Do you have a power supply?
Yeah,
in
that
between?
it's got a it's one spot.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
The old True Tone CS.
Yeah.
Those are
Is
good.
this a CS7?
Yeah.
Or
Those
6,
are
whatever it
nice.
is.
Plenty
Yeah,
of
they're
use.
quiet, man. Dead quiet in here today. It's beautiful.
The power supply is a big part of it, isn't it? In terms of pedals, if they've got the right juice, then they just work, don't they? Yeah. I just recently bought a pedal too. I got Owen Barry. Do you know Owen from Nashville?
Yeah.
He's been making these pedals on his living room table, and they're a linear amplifier boost. And he hand makes them all with little new old stock components, and it's got one knob on it, which is just the volume. But it was quite expensive, but I bought it off him. But man, that thing is freaking awesome.
Yeah.
And he doesn't even have any logo on it. He uses like a label maker and sticks
so
OTB
cool.
custom boost across it. And it sounds great. I've used it like a couple of times now, and it just has this wave. It makes everything go. It kind of takes like whatever amp you have and turns it into a tweed amp.
Yeah. That's cool, man.
The low mid becomes really big, and it pushes and it drives a bit, and it was pretty cool. It cost me $450 New Zealand.
Right. Yeah.
For a boost pedal, which is pretty steep, but
Yeah. But it's funny how
fun.
it's some of them, as you say, you get the right one. It seems to do the right thing where the whole sound blossoms and just comes to life in all the right ways.
it's a nice thing, isn't it? Once you get your kind of gear like that sorted, it just becomes great. Now I can focus on playing, right, instead of all this other stuff.
That's exactly it, man. It's that comfort of knowing. It is for me that everything's there that you need, and you don't have to think about it. And it's the same with gear that I know. And I've messed around with all these things. If something's not right, I know exactly where to go to move a knob. Or if I hit a pedal, I instantly go, the spectrum's down, the drive's down, the gain's down, because I know how I'm used to hearing it with my ears, and it's such an easy fix. And so you're never thinking, oh God, I've got to second guess at what's. And that's why new pedals even it's that thing of you've got to take them out in the heat of battle and actually and actually use them. Everything sounds great in the bedroom. You go, oh,
that's right.
and I've had drive pedals. I've gone, oh, this thing's amazing. I've taken it out and I've gone, it's way too compressed. There's something weird in the mids. It's just not cutting through at all. It's in trying to get any more volume from it. It's just getting smaller, and so it's pretty much that's that instant fail thing.
What's
Totally.
the best rental amp you've ever gotten in your days?
I tell you what, I had an amazing amp in Dunedin. I was doing a Masters Games. This is probably just pre-COVID. Mm-hmm. It turned up and the first thing I went, oh my Lord, it was some really badly messed with Fender amp. And I can't remember what the chassis was on it, but I knew it was a real Bitzer. Like the knobs, nothing made sense on it. And this thing sounded amazing, man. It was, and I remember looking in the back, but I couldn't work out whether it was an old Silverface or an old Deluxe or what it was that had been messed with. But it was the most unlikely thing. Yeah. And it was just like, holy moly, that's amazing. Plugged in, turned it up, and everything was there,
Yeah. sometimes they're broken in really nicely, and
Yeah.
sometimes they're just broken. So
And I've played
Yeah,
through
yeah.
a friend of mine has got a beautiful old bassman,
Okay.
a real old beat up bassman. I've played through a few times too, and that thing is lovely, man.
is that a
It's
tweed
just-
one?
Tweed
Yeah,
bassman,
with
yeah,
4x10. Yeah.
And it's just, as you say, it's been thrashed and beaten up, and it's all ripped and dinged. But it just, once again, it's sounds amazing, you know.
So, like, safe to say, Fender amps are generally your home base.
Yeah, Fender's the home. I played a PV when I was young. Only late '80s. It was there was a lot of heap of PV stuff around then, you know. And I had a classic chorus 130, which was solid state, but it was a great amp. And I liked it because they had a built-in vibrato, which was lovely, man. It was beautiful. But yeah, I've always been a Fender guy. Because I've always been basically a clean, a clean bass sound, and used pedals for everything. And just through playing, because I grew up playing country and like 50s, 60s rock and roll with my dad, and then got into the whole surf guitar thing and a real instrumental player. So I was always after really good, clean
sounds,
tones. Nice fat warms but sparkly tones.
Is there a particular amp that's like your Achilles heel? Like if you see it, you go like, shit.
A Vox AC30.
All right, interesting.
Me too.
Yeah.
Like that's my one. And I was actually going to say that there used to be a Vox AC30, a 60s one that was in a rental place in Christchurch that was kind of do the rounds. And every time I'd see it, I'd be like, wow, it's an original Vox AC30. But then I'd be like, but I hate AC30s.
Yeah.
I just can't make them work.
I'm the same, and
No bottom end.
yeah, I can't make it work, and I struggle with pedals in front of them. Like it's I don't know what it is.
No, they're super picky about which pedal is in
Yeah,
front.
I think that's it. And I used to think it was
Yeah.
just me going. And I mean, I haven't played. Maybe if I played like a real old original one, it might be better. But yeah, I've had a few times I've turned up and just struggle through the whole gig, you know. And I've been away at gigs where we've taken a sound engineer who we know, and they've come up at the end and gone, "Yeah, I was having trouble getting your guitar to sort of fit all night. It was weird." And I'm going, "Me too."
They've
I
got
was
a weird
trying to-
mid-range, haven't they?
Yeah,
weird mid-range. If
weird
you use the
mid-range,
Fenders.
and I don't get the bottom end from them, man. It's funny
Same, yeah.
because most anything else
no.
I can get a sound out of, you know.
Like I guess even a Marshall, you'll be able to.
A Marshall, oh man, I've had a couple of times I've had old Marshall heads, and it's beautiful. It's a different beast, but you just mess around and you get a great tone. And I've plugged into Laney's and all sorts of things, man. But yeah, most things. But yeah, for whatever reason. So if there's someone out there that can help me with the Vox AC30,
Yeah.
I found the trick with the Vox is to get them turned up and then you drop it down from the
that
from
could
the
be it.
guitar and clean up from and stuff like that. But yeah, they do have a certain
Mm.
sound that they kind of have, and it's like either you work with it or
Yeah.
you're gonna be in trouble all night.
and you know what it's like when you go away and you get one, you never have the time to delve into it.
Yeah.
You don't, you're at a sound check. No one wants to hear me mess around for like 10 minutes cranking this amp, and you've got to be up and running so quick that you never really have time to, like you said, go, okay, what do I need to do this? Do I need to do that to actually make it work? But I've had Roland, as I say, as well, jazz choruses and stuff, and that's a clean, glassy amp, but I can still mess with it and get a sound out of it.
Yeah. Thankfully, riders are sent these days.
Yeah.
Please try and get me what I want, like A, B, C, and then don't give
Yep.
me that.
I'm like that. I can generally, like, I prefer like a deluxe reverb because it's the right wattage and sound and everything and for what I want. But anything in the Fender range, I'm happy with, And I always have a reverb on a board because I still 50% of the time the reverb doesn't work in a lot of those amps,
Do you pretty much have your reverb on throughout?
Pretty much, yeah. I like my favorite effect would be reverb. I find it hard to play without reverb, man. I love it. I love that little beard that it gives you,
Yeah.
And so I'll then put in that, like if I want something like a real surfy sound, I'll just whack the reverb on my pedal on top of my amp verb. Mm-hmm. But I love amp verb. It's just a different. I don't know.
Yeah.
It sounds different, man.
When it's working nicely.
When it's working nicely, and I like and the Fender reverbs they're quite unique too. especially on those deluxes and the
Yeah.
twins and stuff. They've got like a depth to them, sort of more of an ambient around them as opposed to a straight attack on them.
Yeah.
And what have you got coming up, Chet? What have you got? Have you got a New Year's Eve gig, I assume? And
Actually, no, man, this is the first year in, probably about 23 years I'm not working New Year's Eve. So, and
Excellent.
I'm actually not bothered about it at all. So, yeah, it's
night
weird.
off with the family.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And the kids our girls have been saying that they'd love to have a New Year's Eve at home or with friends or doing something. So, but what I've got coming, as I say, this week's busy, bunch of corporate gigs. As you just say, it's next week. It's pretty much corporate gigs and private functions and stuff leading up to Christmas. Then after Christmas, Melissa and I go to Timaru for the Caroline Bay Carnival. So
nice.
It's an amazing carnival down there. I don't know if you've done that one. I've
No.
done it a bit over the years. It's cool, man. Old school with all the rides and, chucking the ping pong balls and the clown mouths, all that sort of thing. But they run music for, I think they do about 20 days or something. So we're going
Wow.
2 shows a day. So we fly down Boxing Day. We play a show that night, and then we play a show in early afternoon of the 27th. And then Rikki Morris is coming down. I'm playing with him on the 27th and the 28th. So
Nice.
that's sort of that'll kick the year off into a nice way. And I've got a couple of Music in the Parks things happening up here. Melissa and I are doing one. We've got our one we do with Midge, Blockhouse Bay, which we've been doing for about 25 years or something. And then I'm doing one of those with Rikki in March as well. So just all sorts of little things,
Yeah, I think
Oh, that's great. How do you find working with your ladies? Is there ever any tensions about that? Or I remember working with a couple that she was a singer, he was a bass player, and we're in the middle of one gig and we're playing this groove thing. She turns around and she goes, "Fuck you," because the tensions came on the bandstand.
Right.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
me and the drummer looked at each other and we're like, "Yeah." So do you ever?
No, man, I tell you what, man,
got it worked out.
we are so lucky. We get on great, man. Love it, And I've always been someone I never take any of that stuff onto the stage. I just don't do it. As soon as I walk on, it's like mode of what I'm doing. But
Business
no,
time,
we are
yeah.
lucky that we get on great, man, and we love it. We just love working together. It's a great dynamic and so much mutual respect between the both of us, and a real safety blanket too. In some ways, because you each know what you can all do. So that's something, those are probably the most enjoyable gigs I do now, especially when we do acoustic gigs. It's great because it's such fun playing and finding arrangements of, it can be disco, pop, jazz, rock, whatever, all those songs work with one guitar, man. And it makes them really enjoyable to play and dig in. And I like it because you can push the boundaries of what you can do with them. But we've been lucky, man. No dramas and and
Fantastic.
she even carries and sets up gear.
wow.
I mean,
Wow.
what's with that? We're setting up
There's
for a
no
gig.
singer
She'll
on
get
the
my board
planet
out.
like
She'll
that.
put it there. She does all the mics and everything. It's like it's amazing.
It's a dream.
It's the dream team.
That's the I was gonna say, yeah, like
It's part of it. I mean, it's like I enjoy that thing of setting up. It's always just having to set up, but the guys are there. You're yakking away about something, and after a gig, if you've had a great night, the pack up's just all part of it. It's such routine, man. When you've done it for so long, it's just another thing that rolls out.
And you said you grew up in Whangarei, did
Yeah.
you? Is that where you said?
Yeah, man. I grew up in Whangarei. I moved to Auckland in '97, so I've been in Auckland.
So you've been there a long
I've been
time.
here longer than I was in my hometown. Yeah.
Didn't Keith
Right,
Urban
right.
grew up in Whangarei as well?
Yeah, Keith Urban. My dad knew his granddad really well.
Okay.
So, and last time I met Keith once, he wouldn't remember it. But early 90s, he came out and did a little thing, and he still had the real long hair then. That's before he'd moved to Nashville, so he was still in Australia. And, but I mean, he was great. Then he picked up like this old ovation that was there that day and sung a whole bunch of old Don Gibson songs and stuff. And it was just, it was star factor. It was just took us time to get there.
But when you started
it's pretty
playing,
amazing,
like,
eh?
your biggest influences were more the country guys or the rock guys, or kind of a mix of both?
Kind of mixed, man. Probably because my dad was my first real guitar hero because he was a great instrumental player and just great band player because he'd done that for so long.
And he named you after Atkins.
He named me after Chet Atkins. Yeah. He was such a huge Chet Atkins.
Oh, is that
fan.
right? Oh, yeah, I figured it might.
And so when my sister Angelique is 4 years older than me, but when Mum was pregnant with me, everyone just started presuming if it was a boy he'd be called Chet, right? So and I was christened Chester. like Chester Atkins.
Oh,
So
yeah.
Chester O'Connell, you know. And it's great because there's some people like Tommy Manuel, he's a great mate of mine for 25 years now. He'll always call me Chester because it's you know, it's, and there's a few people that know that the heritage to the name, I guess, that have done that. But yeah, country wise, I grew up, as you say, listened to a lot of Waylon Jennings records and stuff. And at that time, Reggie Young was a session guitar player. He started in Memphis. You guys know him. He played on Dusty in Memphis, and he played on Driftaway for Dobie Gray, and played in the Ghetto and Suspicious Minds and all those lines. You know, real legend. So I grew up playing to a lot of records with him on it. So his style of playing, and he played a Strat a lot too. So his style of playing was really influential. And then listen to everything from a lot of Merle Haggard and Chris Christopherson, but then there's also all the rock and roll stuff as well. You know, Eddie Cochran and that sort of thing. So a real cross section of musical genres. But I got in real early to instrumental playing because my dad was a great instrumental player. So and he'd play even when they were playing pubs in the 70s, they'd play hits of the day instrumentally as well. You know, things like World Without Love and all those things. So I always, when I was young, my whole thing was I got into wanting to learn to play the Shadows tunes and the Ventures tunes and a lot of Chet Atkins stuff that he'd played single note melodies and things long before I started fingerpicking. So, a big mix of stuff, but all sort of, I loved melody, man. It's like, I never got into I appreciate the whole, that rock thing of the 80s more now than I did at the time, you know. I mean, I was only 10 in 84, but I appreciate it more now. At the time, I didn't get it, you know. It was just, I didn't know why you'd want to make so much noise and want to play like that, you know. And because I had I guess a vision of where I wanted to go, whereas I can look back at it as say now, I go, oh man, and I can listen to it all and listen to Eddie, you know, to Van Halen and all that stuff, and go, oh man, why didn't I start learning that when I was young? And my fingers moved faster.
It's better late than never, you know. There's always time.
You know, man, I always wanted to be able to play all styles, you know. And I never sat down and copied one particular person. Obviously, I got a Fiesta Red Strat, and I loved the colour, the Hank Marvin, and I was a big Dire Straits fan as well. So Martin Offler, you know, that was a big influential thing for me. But I never studied any like Hot Licks country videos, and I never tried to play like Stevie Ray Vaughan, or I never tried to play like Brian May but I wanted to take influences from everybody to be able to put into what I could do. And so it ended up that when I first played with Midge in 2001, he loved my playing because it was kind of a mix of everything. I'd be playing blues with country inflections and rock things, and then when I play a country gig, I have blues inflections, and so everything became a mismatch. But it does mean you can pull it apart when you have to and cover a disco thing. Go, yep, that's what I need, and a funk, and then you might do a full-on rock track. You know, and a real gentle ballad, and you still know how to approach them all. Yeah. And I've loved that about just having the variety in the playing. You know, like it's keeps you. I've always thought it keeps your mind awake to everything, and it keeps you playing good because you're not just playing one thing all the time. You've got to be open to things that will stretch you, and you've got to work on things. Oh man, okay, I've got to, you know, this is coming up. I'll work on that pocket a little bit.
Yeah.
But it makes you unique too, doesn't it? Right? You know, because your blend of things. It's something you've spent quite a bit of time in the States, and so have I. And the Americans don't do that.
No,
right? Like the guys I know, like Bruce Forman. You know, Bruce just plays straight ahead bebop.
Yeah.
Like not even jazz. Like I mean, he does lots of different things of jazz, but it's narrow even within the jazz genre. Do you know what I mean? And they tend to do that, whereas a lot of Kiwis are like us. You know, where you do whatever the gig is.
That's
we play it all. You know what I mean? And
I think we kind of had to here, eh? You know, it's like you've got, you know, because we're all out doing cover gigs, and we're all got our own little projects that we love doing. But you want to be the guy that people call, because then you're going to be busy. So to be able to have all those things under your belt is really important. And to just think I'm going to do this little thing in a small country is, you know, you're not going to make it. You know, I'd be painting houses or something. If I wasn't a musician, I'd probably steep as low as practicing law or something, you know. What do you got coming up, man? You got any more Christmas shows?
Yeah, so Nick Tansley's run of
right.
shows start this week, so I got 3 with him this week, and then I'm playing the Blues Club on Friday in Wellington with Neil Billington, a harmonica player, and then Saturday I'm playing a corporate function type thing, and then the following week I'm doing that movie The Holiday with orchestra
cool,
down
man.
here. So live soundtrack with the picture behind us, and we play it all. So just got confirmation of that gig today.
Cool. That's awesome.
For the 20th of December, like real last minute.
Wow.
So, but I think it'll be easy. I don't think that's very hard music, you know. And then probably New Year's Eve on the waterfront with the orchestra, although they haven't booked that yet. But I know that gig's happening, and they'll leave. They're really slack at leaving it to the last minute these days. You know?
Yeah.
Last year they booked me 2 weeks out from New Year's Eve, and I'm like, come on, like, you know.
And it's almost that thing, they know they're going to get you, they just don't call you.
I think they think like violinists, where if you can't get this violinist, there's 100 others that you can you can call, and they can walk in and just sight read anything, and you're away.
Yeah,
it's not like that with guitar. You know what I mean? Like,
man, it's funny that your post you did about getting ready for Will's gig, about who would you call? You know, that was fascinating, man, because I was the same. I was going, yeah, I could probably think of a couple of people, but it's a whole skill set that is.
The conductor thing is a different thing, isn't it? It's like, because you're reading your you're reading the music, but you're also got peripheral vision, you know, where you've got to be watching the conductor out of the corner of our eyes. Like, there wasn't actually a conductor on the gig in the end, which made it harder because the piano player Zach ended up conducting while playing, so he was doing this, you know, and so there was a little bit of intuition, but there was meant to be a conductor, so it was sort of, I don't know quite why it changed or whatever, but yeah, those conductor gigs are scary because the other thing too is the orchestra plays really late. I mean, you know, like it's not like at the bottom of the stick; it's like halfway back up, and if you're sight reading, then your eyes are peeled to the page. You know, it's sort of because I only got the music on Friday, and then first rehearsal was Monday, 2-hour rehearsal, and then straight into the recording on Tuesday. So, but it went fine. It was pretty straightforward. Yeah,
that's great though, man. But as I say, it just once again it shows the what you talked about, having the, you know, being a good reader and stuff, and as means it's, when they pop up, it's, you go, okay, cool, it's in the book, I'll turn up and do it. You're pretty confident you can turn up, and you know you're gonna be able to look at the page and read it and play it and get through it, man.
Depends what it is. I'm aware of it now though, because I've been called out a few times with that where they go, yeah, it's just this or the whatever. There was one New Zealand Symphony Orchestra gig, and it was I couldn't do it, so I'd asked the person booking. I said, "What's the music like?" You know, and she said, "Oh, it's just a little bit of strumming acoustic guitar." And I was like, "Oh, well, I'll get one of my students to do it,
right?
And he'll be fine." And no, it wasn't just a little bit of strumming acoustic guitar. There was no bar lines in the music at all. It was all dotted bar lines where like implied. Man. And he was the feature, like the main feature. So not just strumming some chords, like the main. And he crumbled under the pressure, you know, and I felt. So now I'm always like, yeah, right. I want to know, what am I getting myself? Is it classical guitar? Am I going to be in big trouble?
Yeah.
Because I can play a little bit of classical, but not really. Not a specialist at it. You know?
No, and it's another one of those things, as you say, you're not doing it all the time. So if you had to, it's like, I mean, I can. I can play mandolin on a session, but, you know, probably 50% of the time I'll have to get my chord book out and remind myself of some of the chords because, you know, I can play it and once we know where we're going, if I need a solo in that I can, but I just don't remember all those chord shapes because I might do it once every 4 or 5 years or something.
Yeah, but if someone says, "Can you play mandolin?" you say yes.
I always say yes.
Yeah.
I've done that. Can you play banjo? Yep. 4 or 5 string.
Yeah, I've got a banjo over there that's got 6 strings on it like a guitar.
Same.
You see, those are great.
It's totally cheating.
Yeah, but the thing is, I've played one of those, and as long as you know how to play it to make it sound like a banjo player, it's great. I've heard people jump on them and play them like a guitar player, and you go, well, that doesn't work. You've got to still know how to play it like a banjo.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, most of the time when I want it, they just want it as a bit of a flavour anyway. And, man, it's been so awesome to have you on board, Chet.
Oh, it's
This is
great, man.
awesome.
I love watching you guys stuff. It's so good to come and actually have a yak and connect, man. It's so good.
You're always welcome anytime.
Man, it's actually it's a great way for learning stuff.
Yeah.
And just it's
I've already learnt stuff I'm going to steal from you guys. That thing with the holding the whammy bar down, and those bends you were doing, Chet. Whatever that was,
Yeah,
I'm
man.
like, right.
I love being sit there all day making sure it's in tune. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the good thing.
That's the rule. Don't play anything in front of me, or I'm stealing it from you.
I've done that so many times. I actually quickly I caught up with Tami when he was here earlier this year, and we're playing some tunes, and I played him one of my new fingerstyle pieces, and got to the end of it, and he goes, a little bit of petty theft there. And I knew he'd get it. There's this bit that I ripped off one of his songs, not even intentionally, but it's what it is, and it's like that's what music's about, man. You know, beg and borrow from everybody.
Yeah, he's such a legend, eh? I got to meet him when he was in Wellington, hang out with him for a couple of hours through Mel McCallum, actually. Mel put me in touch with him and said, organise to get together and hang. And he was just such a sweet guy. And he had his guitar there and he goes, right, play for me. And I'm like...
I know, it's awful, eh?
Lovely talking to you guys.
Awesome. Nice.
And
good to see you, Nick.
this is
Likewise.
probably the last one for the year, unless Nick and I manage to connect at some point. So yeah, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys soon.
And thank you, Chet.
See you. Thanks for having me.